yourself eating not because you are hungry, but because something just doesn't feel right? Hey everyone, welcome to Gracie's Table Talk. This is where food meets real life. This is a space for honest conversation, thoughtful insight, and the things we don't usually talk about. Today, I want us to slow down and think about something very real. Not just food, but why we eat. Because we are honest. Sometimes it's not about hunger at all. Sometimes it's about how we feel. Let me ask you something. Have you opened your fridge not because you were hungry, but because something just didn't feel right? Maybe you were stressed, maybe you were tired, maybe you just needed comfort, and somehow food felt like the easiest answer. I've had moments like that too. Moments where I was physically hungry, but I still reached for something to eat. And in that moment, it helped. Even if it was just for a little while, but that got me thinking, why does food feel like comfort? Why does it have that effect on us? The truth is, food is deeply connected to our emotions. From childhood, food is often tied to love, care, and connections. Think about this. Family meal, celebrations, even the way people prepare food for you when you are not feeling well. Food becomes more than just nourishment. It becomes a feeling, a memory, a sense of home. So, when life gets overwhelming, it's natural for us to go back to something that feels familiar and comforting. And for many of us, that is food. But here is where it gets a little deeper. There is something called emotional eating, and it simply means eating in response to feelings rather than physical hunger. It could be stress, loneliness, boredom, and even happiness sometimes. And I want to say this clearly. Sometimes it's human. Sometimes the bowl of food or the bowl of your favorite food, it really does bring comfort. And that's okay. But the challenge comes when it becomes the only way we cope. When food becomes the first solution to our emotions, when we don't even pause to ask ourselves, what do I actually need right now? Because sometimes what we need is not food. Sometimes we need rest. Sometimes we need connections. Sometimes we just need a moment to think. And this is where awareness becomes important. Not judgment, not guilt, just awareness. So, how do we begin to understand our eating habits better? It starts with a simple question. Am I really hungry? And I don't mean asking it quickly and moving on. I mean actually pausing and listening to your body, because physical hunger feels different. It builds gradually. It doesn't demand a specific food. It just needs nourishment. But emotional hunger, it's often sudden. It craves something very specific. And it's usually tied to how we're feeling in that moment. And once you begin to notice that difference, you start to make more conscious choices. Now, this doesn't mean you should stop eating your comfort food. Not at all. It just means you begin to understand why you're reaching for it. So let's talk about balance. Because this is not about restriction, it's about awareness. Here are a few simple ways to manage emotional eating in a healthy and a realistic way. First, pause before you eat. Just take a moment, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? You might be surprised by the answer. Secondly, give yourself alternatives, not replacement, alternatives. If you're stressed, maybe it's a short walk. If you're tired, maybe it's a rest. If you're overwhelmed, maybe it's talking to somebody or someone. Third, stay present when you do eat. Instead of rushing and distracting yourself, actually enjoy the food. Taste it, experience it. That alone can shape your relationship with food. And finally, be kind to yourself. This is not about being perfect, it's about being aware. Because the goal is not to remove comfort from food, the goal is to make sure food is the only place we find comfort. And I think that is something many of us are still learning, myself included. So I want to ask you, have you ever experienced emotional eating? What does comfort food mean to you? And do you think it's something we should be more aware of? I would love to hear your thoughts. Let's talk in the comments. Maybe it's something we don't always think about, but maybe it is something we should start paying attention to, because what we eat is not just food. It's part of our life. I'm Gracie, and this is Gracie's Table Talk.